Well, here it is then. In the metal, at last, for me anyway, is the 8th generation of the 911. The 992 was revealed in Los Angeles a couple of weeks back, and today I'm at the Hockenheim ring to see just how this car performs where it matters, on the track. That's the good news. The bad news is I myself am not going to be doing any driving today. However, we're going to be in the hands of some very diligent engineers from Weissach who are going to show us for the first time how the 992 handles and also introduce us to some of its new technology, including of course wet mode.
Yes. Driving mode is normal, chassis mode is normal, and the PSM on.
Okay.
Just like you start the car.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the second lap we will go to the Sport Plus mode.
Awesome.
And with PSM off, and in the last lap I will let some side slip
Fine.
so that you can see what's possible with the car.
Okay.
This is sport suspension for your information with rear axis steering and full dynamic chassis control.
Fine, okay.
So we will now go to the wet handling track, and I will show you the difference between the normal PSM mode and the wet mode.
Yeah, okay.
Therefore, I will switch to the normal mode with PSM on.
Yeah.
And I will go hard on the throttle so that you can see what happens with the car, how's the PSM working, and afterwards I will switch to the wet mode.
Before we dive into how the technology works in real life, let's take a look at the system from a technological point of view, courtesy of a video supplied to me by Porsche. It all starts with a sensor behind the front wheel which alerts the driver as to the wet conditions on the road, encouraging him or her to activate wet mode from the mode wheel on the steering wheel. Wet mode then gets to work conditioning the ABS, stability and traction control systems, lowering their threshold of activation. As you can see in the diagram, wet mode adjusts the drivetrain's responsiveness, which will basically give the driver a flatter feel through the pedal. Then, for the all-wheel drive cars like the 4S that we're in, the system will distribute more torque forwards to the front axle. Meanwhile, the system reduces the degree of locking on the rear diff. There are some aerodynamic tweaks too. For example, the flaps are opened in the front of the car. Meanwhile, at the back of the car, that rear wing is extended to its most extreme angle of attack, creating more downforce and therefore grip. And this is how it all comes together on the road. So there we have it then, that is our first impressions of the 992. I think the most impressive thing about the 992 in comparison to the 991 before it is that dynamically this car is so much more superior. Clearly the car is so much stiffer. You can really feel that wider track as well. There's not as much pitch and roll as you would get in the 991 generation. And yet despite all of that, it doesn't take away the communicative side of the drive that we've always known the 911 to have. In fact, my first look up close at the 992 has left me pretty impressed all round. That lightened and more rigid chassis, which definitely does do as Porsche says in delivering increased performance and comfort, is really a technological marker for the whole car, building on the 991's prowess and significantly evolving it. Inside, the button bar feels nice to operate, though the mode wheel feels even cheaper than before. And while they do look great, those digital clocks behind the wheel will take some getting used to for the traditionalist. The engine, of course, features a tweaked version of the turbocharged flat six we came to know and love from the 991 Gen 2. Of note were the position of the new engine mounts, plus the fact the car's intercoolers have swapped with the airbox and now sit on top of the flat six, which, as you can see, is very reminiscent of the 993 Turbo. Its power delivery is still exceptional, and my initial fears over the now 8-speed PDK have mellowed. Top speed is still achieved in 6th and, as we saw, 7th and 8th for just overdrive gears. There's much more to learn about this fascinating car, but it has to be said my first reaction is overwhelmingly positive. So that's it then, that is the 992 generation in all its glory. There'll be a proper first drive for me coming soon, so keep a look out for that. I'd also like to hear from you guys. What's your feedback? Give me your first impressions on this car and how it performed out there on the track. But I think certainly we have got much to look forward to. Thanks for watching, I'll see you again soon.